Hey folks, I wanted to talk to you about one of our bread and butter plays. This is a play that we really focus on in our trading boot camps, which is trading stocks that have near-term catalysts, essentially, stocks that are in play, stocks that have a PR, some type of earnings, some type of reason to make explosive moves. And when you're looking for like the perfect combination of, a sector momentum, flow, volume, and then really market conditions, what you get is a perfect storm for big intraday momentum that can be played to the long side and downside. So you saw like the previous day, we had this awesome trade in Arna, where we made a couple $1,000 on it, and it was a PR play that had an opening range breakout, and then there were numerous flags and dips that we were able to play, and we were able to catch really a big trending game. And so the very next day, Bind had a similar type of move. It was a stock that was on a bottom. It was a stock on a bottom, and then it gapped up due to some type of PR. And so, when we see that, in the morning, we're running scans like every day to see what stock is having, a PR in the morning, what's the catalyst, things of that nature. And so, with Bind, it showed up on our radar in the morning due to this monster gap. It was up like 40%. And so, there are a few different plays that were to be had is, for us, we played it to the long side and then we shorted it all the way back down, which was, we made really good gains on it. We had about a $5,000 rip over the course of 2 days, trading it first to the long side and then reversing it back to the short side. And so there's a lot of different things that you can do in this, but it's a beautiful setup when you can get it right. And it has all the things that we're looking for, in intraday momentum, which is, you get that gap up and then there's an opening range play that you can play for a monster rip. And so, we hit this thing around $8 or so and played the rip to the upside at the open. And then you can see what happened here. And this is one of my favorite pullback plays is that, after you get that first rip, the first pullback to support, typically ends up getting bought. And what you get is, a secondary bounce play. And so, this stock pulls back to support here. And we start adding this thing at 850. And then I double up at 875 as it starts breaking its trend line. And we play this rip back to the upside. So, we got setup number two. So, at this point, we've already made almost $1,000 on this trade. And now the stock pulls back again and starts to consolidate. So I actually take this trade for a long again with the stop right under it, thinking maybe we get a run back to the high of day. It didn't work. And so, we ended up getting out flat in the trade. But this is the beauty of the trade is now that I've got out flat in this trade, I know that there's something up with this stock, and as that setup should have worked. And so, now I'm switching my play and looking at this for a potential long. And so the stock trends down for a while and then pops up and then comes back down. And I thought it was going to break down here. And so I started shorting this thing at like 810, and it just didn't go. And so I ended up stopping out as it broke over. And, I took like a $500, $600 loss on it. But now it got it on my radar. The problem was I shorted it just way too low here. And so I had to take a loss. I needed to probably get it up closer or when it first cracked. I chased it a little bit on this entry. So, I ate the dust on it for a small loss. But it's on my radar because a lot of times these things are going to flush end of day. And so once this stock pops back up to 850s and it can't even make, a higher high, we start loading the short on this right near 850 again, a couple thousand shares. And now we're waiting for that end of day flush. And so you can start to see the sucker start to crack, and then it bounces up and makes a lower high. So now I know that there's a line in the sand on this stock at 820, and that's going to flush this bad boy. And so as the stock is curling down towards 820, I already have a couple thousand shares short. I load the boat at 820 for the end of day flush, as this stock is just basing out here for hours looking to flush it. And so you get this big flush coming in and where it gets down to 740. And so you want to be covering into that and then you get this secondary bounce back to 780. And so I load back up a few short here while still keeping part of my core position. And then we catch the flush down to 7. So, it ended up being just an awesome trade, even though a couple times I had it wrong. And that'll happen when you're trading momentum. That's going to happen. These stocks are moving so fast that you can't always catch every single one. But once the big picture thesis changes, then you got to start hammering it back the opposite way. So due to the level of this flush from $10 down to 7, I had this on watch the next day. I'm telling my subscribers and the guys watching me trade on Bulls Vision, I have my charts up all day while I'm trading. I say, watch, if this stock gaps up in the morning, the first pop will probably get shorted and sold off. And so that's what it did. In the morning, it went from 7 and it got all the way to 780. And so we started loading up our short again here, as it's just a dead cat bounce within this downtrend. And so I started hitting it at 760, 755, and I also had it more at 745 and got myself a really nice position going. And, covered right down into this flush down here. It got to 767, 767. So we got another dollar rip out of it just using a really simple technique of, when this thing has faded off so much, then all the bounces typically will get shorted or sold off. And so you've got to reload that short and play it back the other way. So that's a bread and butter play that we like to teach, which is one of our go-to setups that we focus on for a whole day in our boot camp, which is trading PR earnings breakouts, which is just a huge, huge play and trade for something that we do every single day. So keep an eye on your stocks that have positive PRs or earnings or negative PRs, and you'll be able to get stocks that have an independent order flow to the regular market, and you'll be able to use your technical setups in a lot cleaner and crisper way.